From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Breaking news tonight. New details emerging in the attempt on the life of Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania.
We do not currently have an identified motive, although our investigators are working tirelessly to attempt to identify what that motive was. It's still an active crime scene.
And minutes ago, authorities identifying the gunman, a 20-year-old man from Pennsylvania, and new questions about how he got so close to Mr. Trump.
And we're tracking the latest statements from Donald Trump himself and how President Biden is reacting to this act of political violence. Good evening, I'm Brian Hackney.
And I'm Andrea Nakano. A dark day in American politics, something we haven't seen for decades, an assassination attempt on a leading presidential candidate. The New York Times just released this image appearing to show the bullet right next to Mr. Trump's head, showing just how close it actually came to hitting him just inches away.
Authorities have now identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. There's no motive yet. Crooks was on a roof of a nearby business. He was shot and killed. Chaos erupted in the crowd before the Secret Service even got to Mr. Trump. One person who was at the rally was shot and killed. Two others are in critical condition tonight. People afterwards said they didn't even have time to react.
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter.
We are breaking down what happened at the Trump rally. Tonight, we're joined by Juliet Goodrich with the very latest on the investigation and the former president's condition, Jules.
Yeah, Brian and Andrea, it's so hard when you hear the words assassination attempt. It's unreal, and a lot still happening in the early morning hours now in Pennsylvania. In fact, a full investigation underway, and it is still an active crime scene. So Trump was treated and released from a hospital. This was his motorcade as it headed to the Pittsburgh airport. Trump himself tweeted that he was, quote, shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. So as the FBI investigation cranks into high gear, President Biden cut short his weekend at his home in Delaware and his return to the White House. He is calling the assassination attempt sick and says there's no place in America for this type of violence. So we want to take a minute and show you how this shooting played out. To set the scene, Trump had just started his remarks this evening at an outdoor rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It was a hot summer Saturday. In fact, some in the crowd had been waiting hours to hear this speech.
Take a look at what happened.
Move to the spare. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
We ready?
Shooters down. Shooters down.
Are we good?
Shooters down.
Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Shooters down. We're good to move.
We're clear.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
I got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. My shoes down.
Watch out.
So you can see just how fast it played out there, less than 2 minutes from when the first shot was fired to when the Secret Service whisked Trump away to a waiting SUV. Shortly after, Trump posted on Truth Social saying he is doing well, thanking the Secret Service agents that jumped in and offering condolences to the family of the rally goer who was killed. Also, 2 other attendees were also injured and said to be in critical condition as we speak. And as we watched all of this unfold live, it was hard to believe that we were witnessing what was really happening.
Take a look at what happened.
Secret Service agents rushed former President Donald Trump off stage after shots were fired, moments after he started speaking at the evening rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania.
We had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene.
The Secret Service says a man attending the rally was killed. A doctor standing nearby tried to help him, performing CPR.
The guy had spun around, was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here.
Trump raised his fist as he left the stage. On his Truth Social site, the former president said he was shot by a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin, he wrote. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. He was treated at a local hospital and released hours later.
I just hear these 4 shots and everybody's screaming drop, and you can see the blood like splatter on his face, and the Secret Service just barricades him.
The Secret Service says the gunman was outside the cordoned off area of the rally, standing on an elevated structure, and that he was shot and killed by a member of the agency's counter assault team.
We're not prepared at this time to provide the identity of the potential shooter. We're in the process of doing the confirmation.
Some rally attendees say they tried to warn police after spotting the suspect.
There's a guy on the roof with a rifle, and the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on.
This was Trump's last rally ahead of next week's Republican convention in Milwaukee. He was taken away in a motorcade and again held up his fist as he got into his SUV.
Now, President Joe Biden was briefed on the incident soon after it happened and talked with reporters.
I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. The idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience.
Now, we are also getting new images tonight of the Secret Service snipers posted at the rally, which is only raising more questions about how the alleged gunman was able to have such easy access to Trump, especially after several witnesses say they saw the man and reported them to police. So right now, I'm joined live by former FBI agent Jeff Harp, who can shed some light on safety precautions, especially when we're talking about these open-air events. Thanks for joining us at this hour, especially. Can we first talk about the reports that the shooter was outside the perimeter, and how did, in fact, he get away in terms of the agents surveying the rooftops with a line of sight ahead of time?
Well, and so they're saying he was outside the security perimeter. You know, there's layers of, they talk about layers of security whenever you're dealing with any sort of dignitary protection. And this person appears to have used a high-powered rifle. Now, a high-powered rifle shot from 130 yards or so is extremely accurate. And depending on what type of rifle this was, you could be outside the perimeter 130 or 500 yards even and still make an accurate shot. So the fact that they're saying he was outside the perimeter, to me, that's not good enough to try to understand how this occurred. I think the better question to ask is who was observing the rooftop before, during, and after, and was that rooftop identified as a possible threat area where someone could take a shot from? I think that's the bigger question that needs to be asked.
Yeah, and as former FBI, I'm curious. You had said earlier you are baffled and still trying to kind of wrap your head around how this could have even happened. So when you saw this happening, what was your initial thought?
My initial thought was, how did someone not observe this individual from a law enforcement perspective? If there was as many people at that rally as they're saying there were, the guy marches in with a high-powered rifle. Even if you're 150 yards, 200 yards, a mile away, if you're walking in with a long gun, that is suspicious. And people normally say something, and especially if you're at an event that's a political event, it just doesn't look right. The hair stands up on the back of your neck. You normally pick up the phone and call 911. Now, it does appear as though there was some individuals who saw something. I don't know how law enforcement reacted to that. We're going to find out very shortly, because it appears as though they did see something.
All right, let's talk about the investigation. What happens now? When are we going to get some more information? And then what happens moving forward with security at the Republican convention?
Yeah, well, first of all, the investigation, we'll go back to the FBI coming out with their statement originally, is they wanted to make certain that they had the right individual. You think back to the Olympic Park bombing with Richard Jewell being the so-called accused person, and he was not the person that did the bombing. The FBI is very sensitive to making certain that they have 100% certainty of when they're going to come out with an announcement, because they don't want to put themselves in a position where they're giving bad information or information that's going to lead the investigation in the wrong direction. So now they're looking at this individual. They know who he is. They're able to identify him probably through Pennsylvania uses some biometric data, photographic data when you have a driver's license, so they're able to backtrace that. But now they know who he is. Now they'll start looking at his social media. Certainly they'll have his phone records. They're going to talk to family members. This just didn't happen. He didn't wake up this morning and say, "Hi, I'm going to go shoot the president." I don't think. Like many of these things we have seen in the recent years, there's likely a mental health issue involved here. And there's going to be a lot of things that people second guess and wonder why we weren't able to prevent this from happening. Just like every single other shooting that we see, why couldn't we prevent it?
Yeah, right. Jeff Harp, former FBI agent. Jeff, thank you for your live interview at this hour. We appreciate it. All right. So still a lot of questions to be answered. Already calls for the head of the Secret Service to appear before Congress to answer questions about the shooting. There's a long way to go before we get to know exactly what happened and who this person is.
Okay, Jules, thanks. We'll check in with you a little bit later about the political fallout.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Well, we're now going to turn to Amanda Harry, who's been kind of trying to get the pulse of the public in the Bay Area. Amanda, what can you tell us about what this means for the political discourse right now?
Yeah, we spoke to people across the political spectrum. All of them said they were saddened by the news. Some even went as far to say they were disgusted. It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, or anything else. This was a bad day.
No one should get shot. Period.
The impact of Trump's attempted assassination at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania is being felt across the country, including right here in the Bay Area. Stephanie Hill says when she heard the news, she thought it was awful, but she wasn't surprised.
I kind of expected it, to be honest.
Why?
Because it feels like the Democrats are kind of running out of chances here, and so they really, really, really don't want him to win.
But even if you don't agree or you agree, it's still not okay to shoot somebody because they have different opinion. That's why we live in America, to have different opinions, and that's okay. We should have different opinions.
Olivia Barcenas says she doesn't understand how something like this could happen.
I think that's really scary what happened because, they do all the security measures and it's still not safe, and I want to live in a world that's safe, and it's not right what happened.
Peter Black spent his Saturday running errands and didn't have a chance to watch the news. He was taken aback when we explained what happened.
No kidding. It's not good. You don't want that for anybody. He's very outspoken and has a lot of people in favor of him and a lot of enemies.
Everyone says they're relieved the former president is okay. When asked how this will impact his campaign, everyone believes it will have a positive impact.
It shows him that he's strong enough to be president. If Joe Biden got shot, there's no way he would react the same way.
Oh, I think he'll turn it around to make it work for him.
Trump's good at that.
No one we spoke to said that this would impact their vote in November. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Amanda.
And we'll have more on the assassination attempt just ahead, including how the shooting could change security at the upcoming Republican National Convention that begins on Monday.
Plus, a live report from as dozens of agents descend upon Butler, Pennsylvania.